Shabbat Shalom.
Hello.
Welcome to the Philadelphia Assemblies. Happy Sabbath. Today is the first day of unleavened bread, and we're celebrating here at the Philadelphia Assemblies. Today is the 15th day of the first month of the year 5779 as we discern Yahuwah's calendar. It's also April the 4th, 2019 on the Gregorian calendar. So again, welcome. We're going to continue with our expository teaching today of the Torah. And right now, the book of Genesis, we're going to pick it up in chapter 20. This is part 6 of the Genesis study. So we're just going to continue until we go about an hour. We'd like to leave these lessons about an hour long. So we're going to teach until we get to about an hour. Before we get started, though, I'm going to turn to the east towards Jerusalem, where the temple was and where it prophesied to be, and we're going to open in prayer. Almighty Father Yahuwah, we praise you and thank you, Father, for all that you're giving us. Father, we ask that Ruach HaKodesh give us an extra unction of understanding today, Father, as I do the expository teaching on the book of Genesis. Let it be your words and not mine. And Father, we just ask that you would open eyes and hearts and let us all be uplifted and taught today. We ask it all in your precious Son, Jesus, or Yahushua's name. Amen. Okay. We'll dive right in. Get as much scripture as we can get today. So, Genesis chapter 20, verse 1. And Abraham, okay, that's the way it really should have been translated, not Abraham, but Avraham, journeyed from thence, or from there where he was, toward the south country, and dwelled between Kadesh and Shur, and sojourned, or stayed temporarily in Gerah, okay. Verse 2, and Abraham said of Sarah, his wife, she is my sister. Okay, so this is the second time he's kind of leaned on this not full truth. Okay, so here, I guess it worked the first time, he's going to do it again. Okay, so he said, this is my sister, and Abimelech, king of Gerah, sent and took Sarah, just like the Egyptians had done earlier. But Elohim came to Abimelech in a dream by night and said to him, behold, you are but a dead man, for the woman which you hast taken, for she is a man's wife. But Abimelech had not come near her, so he hadn't known her like we would understand the scripture to mean that. And he said, Adonai, this word Lord here is another one of those places where it's not translated from the Tetragrammaton. The word Lord here comes from the word Adonai, meaning master. You slay also a righteous nation? He's asking a question. Verse 5, said he not unto me, she is my sister, and she, even she herself said, he is my brother. In the integrity of my heart and innocency, I can't speak this morning, of my hands, have I done this. So he didn't have any idea, and he was confessing that to Yahuwah, or Adonai. Could have been referring to the Ruach or to the Father. Adonai means master. Okay, verse 6. And Elohim, okay, that word God there is Elohim, said unto him in a dream, yes, I know that you did not know that in the integrity of your heart. I'm paraphrasing in English. For I also withheld you from sinning against me. So in other words, he caused him not to know her. Okay, so he did that. Therefore allowed I not to touch her. So in other words, he kept her from touching her. Kept Abimelech from touching Sarah. Verse 7, now therefore restore the man his wife, for he is a prophet. So This identifies Abraham as a prophet. And he shall pray for you, and you shall live if you restore her not. Know you that you shall surely die, you and all that are yours, or thine, it says in the King James. Verse 8, therefore Abimelech rose early in the morning and called all his servants and told all these things in their ears. And the men were very afraid, or greatly afraid. It says sore afraid in the King James in that Middle English. And then Abimelech called Abraham, and he said unto him, what hast thou done unto us? And what have I offended you, or how have I offended you, that you hast brought on me and on my kingdom a great sin? You hast done deeds unto me that ought not to be done. And Abimelech said unto Abraham, what sayest you that you hast done this thing? Or why, what do you say? Why have you done this thing? And Abraham said, because I thought, surely the fear of Elohim is not in this place, and they will slay me for my wife's sake. And so he was judging the guy before he even gave him an opportunity. That's what he's basically said. And yet indeed she is my sister. She is the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother. Okay, so you could see customs were quite different in this time than they were later, as we read in the Torah in both in the other books, you know, like especially Deuteronomy and Leviticus and places like that, where you wouldn't be doing that. But again, this is prior to that, and this is before the gene pool, I believe, was stretched to the point that it was necessary for us not to marry in our immediate family. Okay? So that's what I think. I could be wrong, obviously, in that. So, and then he says, 12, and yet, indeed, she is my sister, I think I said that, is the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother, and she became my wife. So he's explaining that. And it came to pass, when Elohim caused me to wander from my father's house, that I said unto her, this is your kindness which you shall show unto me at every place where we shall come, saith of me, he is my brother. Now, I might have even stated earlier, and I'm just correcting myself as incorrectly saying that it was his father's brother's daughter, but it's not. It's his father's daughter, but not of his mother. Okay? And Abimelech took sheep, oxen, and men servants, and women servants, and gave them unto Abraham, and restored him Sarah, his wife. And Abimelech said, behold, my land is before you. Dwell where it pleases you. And unto Sarah he said, behold, I have given your brother 1,000 pieces of silver. Behold, he is to you a covering of the eyes. Unto all that are with you, and with all other. Thus she was reproved. Okay? Verse 17, so Abraham prayed unto Elohim, and Elohim healed Abimelech, just as it had been told him. Obviously, ordered by Yahuwah and carried out by the Ruach HaKodesh. Okay? Healed Abimelech and his wife and his maidservants, and they bare children, because they obviously were barren during the time that he had Sarah with him. Verse 18, for Yahuwah, okay, this word here is the tetragrammaton that's translated again to Lord. So, for Yahuwah or Yahweh or Jehovah had fast closed up all the wombs of the house of Abimelech because of Sarah, Abraham's wife. Okay? So there was like a curse on them until they did the right thing. Okay? Chapter 21, verse 1. And Yahuwah visited Sarah as he had said, And Yahuwah did unto Sarah as he had spoken. For Sarah conceived and bare Abraham a son in his old age, at the set time of which Elohim had spoken to him. So there was an appointed time for this to happen, and when Yahuwah sent the Ruach and 2 other angels to meet with Abraham, he told him he was going to have one, okay? And he laughed, okay? Abraham laughed, okay? And that's important to understand that. And Abraham called the name of his son that was born unto him, whom Sarah bare to him, Isaac. And that word means he laughed, the word Isaac. Yep. Important to know that. Verse 4, and Abraham circumcised his son Isaac, being 8 days old. So, see, look, we hadn't even had the Torah given, and Elohim had already told Abraham to circumcise this child because of this covenant of circumcision that he made with Abraham. Okay? And Abraham did was as commanded him. He circumcised Isaac on the 8th day, as Elohim had commanded him. Okay? So, verse 5, and Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born unto him. Remember when he laughed, he said, shall a child be born to a man that's 100 years old? Yes, he will. And he was. Okay? Was fulfilled. And Sarah said, 5 says, and Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born unto him. Verse 6, and Sarah said, Elohim hath made me to laugh, so that all that hear will laugh with me. Okay? So if you when you saw this and heard them laugh, if you chuckled, then I guess that was prophesied too. Okay? 8, and the child grew and was weaned.
7.
I didn't read 7. Thank you. And she said, who would have said unto Abraham that Sarah should have given child suck, or nursed a child, for I have borne him a son in his old age. Talking about Abraham in his old age. And she was in her old age too. It had to be restored to her. Verse 8, and the child grew and was weaned, broken from nursing from his mother, and Abraham had made a great feast the same day that Isaac was weaned. Okay? And Sarah saw the son of Hagar, the Egyptian, which she had borne unto Abraham. In other words, that Hagar had borne unto Abraham, and she was mocking, or she was ridiculing this son. Okay? We all know who that is, Ishmael. Wherefore she said unto Abraham, cast out this bondwoman and her son, for the son of this bondwoman shall not be heir with my son, even with Isaac. And we know in Galatians chapter 4, there's an allegory there, okay? And you can read that, and they say Agar in the King James, and it's talking about Hagar, okay? So it's referring to this incident that this bondservant shouldn't be here. Now, this is used as an allegory because it's not quite the same up there, and it's talking about the natural branch and the grafted in, olive tree. The same thing they're talking about in Romans chapter 11, okay? So when you read that, you have to understand what that's talking about. I'm not going to go into great detail, but go listen to my lesson that's on Philadelphia Assemblies, the expository teaching of Galatians. It's probably on the first, if there's more than one part on that. I don't recall. Verse 12. And Elohim said unto Abraham, let it not be grievous in your sight because of the lad, and because of your bondwoman. Okay, so he's talking about Hagar. In all that Sarah hath said unto you, listen unto her voice, for in Isaac shall your seed or descendants be called. Okay? Even though there's a covenant with Ishmael and those Arabic people, okay, that doesn't mean, it doesn't change that the covenant that he made with Abraham, okay, was with it for Israel through Isaac, okay, Isaac and then Jacob, and when Jacob gets there, he gets his name changed to Israel, okay, that's where we're leading to here. So verse 13 says, and also the son of the bondwoman will I make a nation, because he is your seed. So don't be distressed, because I'm not going to abandon Ishmael, okay? So all these people get to hating on all the Arabic people and stuff. Remember, they're sons of Abraham too, and they have a promise too. It's just not the same promise as Israel. They're not to have all nations blessed through them. Even Ishmael's family is going to be blessed through Abraham, okay? If he converts, if he's called by Messiah, okay, and converts, okay? He might actually he'd be called by the Father, drawn by the Father, and surrender to the Messiah, okay? If he does that, he becomes part of the body of Messiah. But they have their own special blessing, okay? And verse 14, and Abraham rose up early in the morning and took bread and a bottle of water and gave it unto Hagar, putting it on her shoulder, and the child, and sent her away, and she departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. 15, and the water was gone, well spent, used up, in the bottle, and she cast the child under one of the shrubs. So she found a place to shade the child under a shrub, and she laid the child there. And she went and sat her down over against him, or a little ways off from him, a good way off, as it were a bow shot. So bow shots probably 40 yards at the most, 20 yards maybe, with a primitive bow. Okay, and she sat over against him and lifted up her voice and cried or wept. Okay, as any mother would. She thought that her and her baby were going to die of dehydration. And Elohim heard the voice of the lad. Now pay attention here, okay? And the angel of Elohim called to Hagar. Now, again, I've got what is known as a sword Bible. Doesn't mean everything in it's right any more than any other one, but it's a red-lettered edition. It shows when God is speaking here. Okay, I'm not saying they understand all that, but when Elohim is speaking, or Yahuwah through the Ruach, it's always in red. And notice it says, and the angel of Elohim called out of heaven, or out of the Shamayim, and said unto her, what aileth you? And it's in red here, Hagar. Fear not, for Elohim hath heard the voice of the lad where he is. Okay? Even these guys know that this is the Ruach HaKodesh. Okay? They might not tell you that, but they know this is a deity speaking for sure. Okay? That it's God, not some angel like Gabriel or Michael or somebody like that. This one right here is Elohim. Okay? So he knew that. And the authors knew that, or the translators. Arise, lift up the lad, and hold him in your hand, for I will make him a great nation. Okay? As he said he would make Israel a great nation. Okay? But he also said that the whole earth would be blessed through that. And that's the covenant we're talking about. This covenant is different and separate from that. Verse 19, and Elohim opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water, and she went and filled the bottles with water and gave the lad drink. And Elohim was with the lad, okay, not just then, but not in him, but with him. Notice it says that. And he grew and dwelt in the wilderness and became an archer. Okay, and he dwelt in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother took him a wife out of the land of Egypt. So he married outside his lineage. He married an Egyptian. And it came to pass at that time that Abimelech and Phicol, the chief captain of his host, spake unto Abraham, saying, Elohim is with you in all that you do. So, we need not to be judging everybody because of who their descendants are, right or wrong, okay? Now therefore, verse 23, swear unto me here by Elohim, that thou wilt not deal falsely with me, nor with my son, nor with my son's son, but according to the kindness that I have done unto you, thou shalt do unto me, and to the land wherein you hast sojourned or stayed temporarily. Verse 24, and Abraham said, I swear. And Abraham reproved Abimelech because of a well of water which Abimelech's servants had violently taken away. Okay. Verse 26, and Abimelech said, I know not who hath done this thing. So maybe he didn't know. Neither didst thou tell me, neither yet heard I of it, but today. So he never heard of this, that his servants had taken this well up until this day, or so he says. Okay. And verse 27, and Abraham took sheep and oxen and gave them unto Abimelech, and both of them made a covenant or a solemn agreement. Okay. And Abraham set 7 ewe lambs, females, of the flock by themselves. 29. And Abimelech said unto Abraham, what mean these even ewe lambs, or female lambs, again, which thou hast set by themselves? And he said, which would have been Abimelech, for these 7 ewe lambs shall you take of my hand, that they may be a witness unto me that I have digged this well. Okay, he's saying he dug the well. Wherefore he called that place Beersheba, because there they swear, both of them. Okay, so that name has something to do with that covenant. I didn't look it up. Thus they made covenant at Beersheba. Then Abimelech rose up, and Phicol, the chief captain of his host, and they returned into the land of the Philistines. Okay. And Abraham planted a grove in Beersheba and called there on the name of Yahuwah, or Yahweh, or Jehovah, the everlasting El Olam. Okay, El Olam, the everlasting. Okay, that's what that's talking about. Oh, everlasting El, or mighty one. Yahuwah, or Yahweh, or Jehovah, the everlasting El. And Abraham sojourned in the Philistines' land many days. Okay. Chapter 22. And it came to pass after these things that Elohim did tempt Abraham and said unto him, Abraham, and he said, behold, here I am. See, that's the way we need to be. There's a lot of times he's speaking to us, we don't notice, or maybe we don't want to hear even. We got to be like faithful Abraham, and we got to say, here I am, whenever he calls us. Verse 2, and he said, take now your son, your only son, Isaac, whom you lovest, and get you into the land of Moriah, and offer him there a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I tell thee of. Okay? So he's going to tell him probably the next day before he goes which mountain he's going to. And Abraham rose up early in the morning and saddled his donkey, or his ass, and took 2 of his young men with him, and Isaac his son, and clave the wood, or split the wood for the burnt offering, and rose up and went into the place of which Elohim had told him. Okay? So, doesn't tell you what he did all night. I bet he anguished over it. I bet, that he went through all kinds of different emotions. But the next morning, Abraham rose up early in the morning and saddled his ass. and got ready and took 2 of his young men with him and Isaac his son, and split the wood for the burnt offering, and rose up and went into the place which Elohim had told him. See, I would hope that I would never be tested in this manner. But Abraham is faithful Abraham. And this is why he was being tested, to see just how far that he would go. And we're always being tested like that. Okay? So if God, Elohim, gives you a tough task, say, here I am. And if he says do it, do it. If it's not meant to be, he'll stay your hand at the last minute. Okay? But you got to trust in Elohim and in the Most High that he's never doing anything to hurt you. Okay? Whatever he would do would be for your good. That's faith, and that's tough here. Okay, verse 4. Then on the 3rd day, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place afar off, the mountain that he was to take his son Isaac to offer him on the altar. Verse 5. And Abraham said unto his young men, abide or stay you here with the donkey or the ass, and I and the lad will go yonder and worship and come again to you. Okay? He had great faith here that Elohim was going to provide another sacrifice, but he was prepared to offer his son, his only son Isaac at this time, as he was commanded. Verse 6. And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it upon Isaac his son, and he took the fire in his hand and a knife, because that's how they usually did. They carried fire with them, and a knife, okay, and they went both of them together. And Isaac spake unto Abraham his father, and said, my father. And he said, here I am, my son. And he said, behold, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering? And Abraham said, my son, Elohim will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering. So they went both of them together. So that was true either way. If he had to offer Isaac, he had already prepared a lamb. This is a shadow of our father, Yahuwah, having our son offered up on his son, not our son, up on the stake or the tree. Okay? And I'm sure it was just as hard for him as it was for Isaac here. Okay? Verse 9. And they came to the place which Elohim, okay, had told him of, and Abraham built an altar there, and laid the wood in order, and bound Isaac his son, and laid him on the altar upon the wood, because he had told him to offer his son, his only son. And the angel of Elohim, okay, actually it's the angel or messenger of Yahuwah, or Yahweh, or Jehovah, which we know to be the Ruach HaKodesh, okay, the Holy Spirit, okay, and that angel of the Lord, Yahuwah, the Ruach, called unto him out of heaven, or the Shamayim, and said, and it's in red letters here, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, which is Abraham, here I am. Verse 12, and he said, lay not your hand upon the lad, neither do you anything unto him, for now I know that you fearest Elohim. Okay, because he was ready to kill his son, his only son, seeing thou hast not withheld your son, thine only son, from me. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him a ram caught in a thicket by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered him for a burnt offering in the stead of his son. And I bet he was really rejoicing in that offering when the angel or the voice of Elohim, which is the Ruach, told him not to harm his son. Okay? And Abraham called the name of that place Jehovah, or Yahuwah Yireh. Okay? as it is said today, in the mount of Yahuwah it shall be seen. And verse 15 again, and the angel of Yahuwah called into Abraham out of heaven the second time, and said, and again it's in red letters in this edition, so the author knew this is God speaking, or Elohim. Okay? By myself have I sworn, saith Yahuwah. And obviously it wasn't Yahuwah talking, it was the Ruach speaking for him, the angel of Yahuwah, which we read in the text here. By himself have I sworn, saith Yahuwah, for because you hast done this thing, and has not withheld your son, your only son, that in blessing I will bless you, and in multiplying I will multiply your seed, or descendants, as the stars of the heaven. And he'd already told him he would do that, but now he is sealed. And as the sand which is upon the seashore, and your descendants shall possess the gate of his enemies. Okay, of his enemies. And that's talking about Israel and Jerusalem and that area, because at that time there was his enemies were there. And in your descendants shall all nations, not as was done with Ishmael, but through Isaac, in your descendants shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because you hast obeyed my voice. And his voice is the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit, okay? The angel of Yahuwah, okay? Verse 19, so Abraham returned unto his young men, and they rose up and went together to Beersheba, and Abraham dwelled at Beersheba. And it came to pass after these things that it was told Abraham, saying, behold, Milcah, she hath also borne children unto your brother Nahor. Verse 21, Huz his firstborn, and Buz his brother, and Kemuel the father of Aram, and Chesed, and Hazo, and Phidash, and Hidlaf, or Laugh, or something like that, and Bethel, excuse me, I can't pronounce all these correctly. 23, and Bethel begot Rebekah, and these 8 Milcah did bear to Nahor, Abraham's brother. Okay, so it's giving you a lineage of Abraham's brother. And his concubine, whose name was Reumah, she bore also Teba, and Gaham, and Thahash, and Machah. Okay, that's the end of that. We're going to go ahead and do one more chapter. We're going to be right at an hour, pretty close to an hour. We're only at 33 minutes now. Who knows, we might go further. We'll see how it goes. And Sarah was 107 and 20 years old. 127 years old. These were the years of the life of Sarah, and she died in Kethjarbah, or I'm not, Kajathabah, or something, or Kirjathabah. Might not have that right either. The same is in Hebron. So the place that we're speaking of there is in the land of Hebron, in the land of Canaan, okay, which we know is mostly Israel. And Abraham came to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. And Abraham stood up from before his dead and spake unto the sons of Heth, saying, because that's the people that own the area, I am a stranger and an alien, or a sojourner with you. Give me a possession of a burying place with you, that I might bury my dead out of my sight. Okay. And the children of Heth answered Abraham, saying unto him, Hear us, my Lord, our master. Thou art a mighty prince among us. In the choice of our sepulchres, in other words, he's going to give them a choice of sepulchres or tombs to bury your dead. None of us shall withhold from you his sepulchre, but you mayest bury your dead. Okay? Verse 7, and Abraham stood up and bowed himself to the people of the land of even to the children of Heth. And he communed with them, saying, if it be your mind that I should bury my dead out of my sight, hear me, and entreat for me to Ephron the son of Zohar. Okay? Verse 9, that he may give me the cave of Melchip. I don't know how to pronounce this one, but I'm having trouble this morning, which is Mechiplah. I'm not pronouncing that correctly at all. I'll probably come to me. Which he hath, which is in the end Machpelah. That's what it is, Machpelah. Okay? Which he hath, which is in the end of his field, for as much money as it is worth. So he's not wanting them to give it to him. He wants to pay for it. He shall give it me for a possession of a burying place amongst you. Now, there's going to be many others get buried in this same place, Machpelah, okay? And they don't know exactly where that is today, because if they did, they'd know where Abraham is buried too, okay? But right now, it's Sarah being buried there, okay, for a possession of a burying place amongst you. And Ephron dwelt among the children of Heth, and Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the audience of the children of Heth, even of all that went in the gate of his city, saying, no, my Lord, hear me, the field give I you, and the cave that is therein, because that's what they were going to use for a sepulchre or tomb, I give it you. In the presence of the sons of my people give I it you, bury your dead. And Abraham bowed down himself before the people of the land, and he spake unto Ephron in the audience of the people of the land, so those are the witnesses, saying, but if you will give it, I pray you, hear me, I will give you money for the field, take it of me, and I will bury my dead there. And Ephron answered Abraham, saying, my Lord, listen unto me. The land is worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that between me and you? Bury you therefore your dead. Okay? He's telling him, I don't care about the money. I'll give it to you. We're that close. And Abraham listened unto Ephron, and Abraham weighed to Ephron the silver which he had named in the audience or in the hearing of the sons of Heth, 400 shekel of silver, current money, with the merchant. Okay? So he made sure that he even weighed it all out to the exact amount that it was worth, because this land was going to be for him and his descendants, okay, from this time forward, starting with Sarah. And the field of Ephron, which was in Machpelah, which was before Mamre, the field and the cave which was therein, and all the trees that were in the field, that were in all the borders round about, were made sure or established. Okay? Unto Abraham was a possession in the presence of the children of Heth, before all that went in at the gate of his city. And after this, Abraham buried Sarah, his wife, in the cave of the field of Machpelah before Mamre, the same as Hebron in the land of Canaan. Okay? A lot of people believe it's in the country of Iraq. Okay? But wherever it is, they don't know for sure exactly the location of this particular tomb or cave. Okay? Verse 20, and the field and the cave that is therein were made sure, okay, or secured, or deeded over. Could have even been translated that way, unto Abraham for a possession of a burying place by the sons of Heth. So they've made a decree. We're going to go ahead, okay? First chapter 24. And Abraham was old and well stricken in age, or advanced in age, and Yahuwah had blessed Abraham in all things. Not just Isaac, but in all things too, possessions. And Abraham said unto his eldest servant of his house that ruled over all that he had, put, I pray you, your hand under my thigh. And I will make you swear by Yahuwah, your Elohim of Shamayim, or heaven, and and Elohim of the earth, that you shall not take a wife unto my son of the daughters of the Canaanites, because that's where he dwelled. As you know, the Ishmael, he took a wife of the Egyptians, but Ishmael wasn't to bring on the lineage of our Messiah. Okay, so there's a difference here with Isaac. Okay, he's going to bring on Jacob, which is Israel, and also later our Messiah. And he says, and I will make you swear, I already said that, didn't I? Among whom I dwell. So in other words, he didn't want them to marry from the Canaanites that he dwelled with. He wanted an offspring that was related in the same way that Abraham married his father's daughter that wasn't his mother's daughter. He's going to marry very closely inside the family, okay, from his brother's daughter, okay. And the servant said unto him, peradventure, or suppose the woman will not be not willing to follow me unto this land. Must I needs or necessarily bring your son again into the land from whence you camest? And Abraham said unto him, beware you that you bring not my son there again. In other words, don't let him go there and stay. If she doesn't want to come, don't take my son back where he came from. Verse 7, and Yahuwah Elohim of Shamayim, which took me from my father's house and from a land of my kindred, and which spake unto me, and that sware unto me, saying, unto your descendant, singular, will I give this land. He shall send his angel before you, and this angel is the Ruach HaKodesh, okay, out before them to fight for them, that thou shalt take a wife unto my son from here. But this, he's going to send Yahuwah, the Ruach HaKodesh with him to help him to select a wife, okay. And if the woman will not be willing to follow you, here's the instructions, then thou shalt be clear from this my oath, only bring not my son there again, it says, but he's not going there at all, okay, just the servant's going. And if the woman will not be willing to follow you, then, I already read that, didn't I? Verse 9, and the servant put his hand under the thigh of Abraham's master and sware to him concerning that matter. Now that's the way they had people swear in those days. If you look it up in the manners and customs, later on when he gives blessings, you know, you're going to see this, okay? The same thing. Verse 10, and the servant took 10 camels of the camels of his master and departed, for all the goods of his master were in his hand, are available to him. And he rose up and went to Mesopotamia, okay, which is in the land of Ur again, okay, the land of the Chaldeans, unto the city of Nahor. Verse 11, and he made his camels to kneel down outside the city by a well of water at the time of the evening, the time that the women go out to draw water. Okay, so they would do that. That was one of their custom chores that they did. And he said, O Yahuwah Elohim of my master Abraham, I pray you send me good speed this day, and show kindness unto my master Abraham. 13, behold, I stand here by the well of water, and the daughters of the men of the city came out to draw water, and let it come to pass that the damsel, or the young girl, to whom I shall say, let down the pitcher, I pray you, that I may drink, and she shall say, drink, and I will give your camels drink also. Let the same be she that thou hast appointed for your servant Isaac, and thereby shall I know that you have showed kindness unto my master. So this is the sign he's asking for. Okay, so he would know which one. And it came to pass before he had done speaking that behold, Rebekah came out, who was born to Bethuel, son of Milcah, the wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother, which with her pitcher upon her shoulder. Now I'm sure he didn't know it was Abraham's brother. That's just a case. Okay, that's what she was. And the damsel or the young girl was very fair to look upon, a virgin, neither had any man known her. Well, she couldn't be a virgin if any man had known her. Okay, and she went down to the well and filled her pitcher and came up. And the servant ran to meet her and said, Let me, I pray you, drink a little water of your pitcher. And she said, Drink, my lord. And she hasted or hurried and let down her pitcher upon her hand and gave him drink. And when he had done giving him drink, when she had done giving him drink, she said, I will draw water for your camels also until they have done drinking or finished drinking. And she hasted or hurried and emptied her pitchers into the trough and ran again into the well to draw water and drew for all his camels. And the man wondered at her, held his peace to see whether Yahuwah had made his journey prosperous or not, because this was the very sign that he asked for. And it came to pass, as the camels had done drinking, that the man took a golden earring, okay, of half a shekel weight, so a half a shekel of gold, and 2 bracelets for her hands of 10 shekels weight of gold, and said, Whose daughter are you? Tell me, I pray you, is there room in your father's house for us to lodge in? And she said unto him, I am the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Milcah, which she bare unto Nahor. She said, moreover unto him, We have both straw and feed or provender enough and room to lodge in. And the man bowed down his head and worshipped Yahuwah or Yahweh or Jehovah. Okay? And this is a servant. This is a Gentile guy, okay? But he's part of Abraham's crew, so I'm sure he was circumcised and everything, okay? And he worshipped Yahuwah. And verse 27, and he said, Blessed be Yahuwah Elohim of my master Abraham, who hath not left destitute my master of his mercy and his truth, as he had prayed for. I being in the way, Yahuwah led me to the house of my master's brethren, okay, as it was meant to be. He was to marry inside of this lineage, okay? And just like I said earlier, that's why Noah was perfect throughout all his generations. He married inside his own lineage, because this is bringing this lineage of our Messiah forward. Okay. Now there's also Gentiles that are in that lineage as well, but it's important in these areas here. Okay. So verse 28. And the damsel ran and told them of her mother's house these things. And Rebekah had a brother, and his name was Laban. And Laban ran out unto the man, unto the well. And it came to pass, when he saw the earring and the bracelets upon his sister's hands, and when he had heard the words of Rebekah his sister, saying, Thus spake the man unto me, that he came unto the man, and behold, he stood by the camels at the well. And he said, Come in, you blessed of Yahuwah. Wherefore standest you outside, or why do you stand outside? For I have prepared the house and room for the camels. And the man came into the house, and he ungirded or unloaded his camels, and gave straw and food or provender for the camels, and water to wash his feet, and the men's feet that were with him. And there was a there was set food. And it's always when the King James says meat, M-E-A-T, it's speaking of food. It's not necessarily talking about flesh. Before him to eat, and he said, I will not eat until I have told my Aaron. And he said, speak on. Then they told him, go ahead and tell us what you have to do with this Aaron. And Yahuwah hath blessed my master greatly. 34 I missed? Okay. And he said, I am Abraham's servant, and Yahuwah hath blessed my master greatly. And he is become great, and he hath given him flocks, and herds, and silver, and gold, and merchants, and maidservants, and camels, and donkeys or asses. And then verse 36. And Sarah, my master's wife, bare a son to my master when she was old. And unto him hath he given all that he had. And my master made me swear, saying, Thou shalt not take a wife to my son of the daughters of the Canaanites, in whose land I dwell. But you shall go into my father's house and to my kindred, or to my relatives, and take a wife unto my son. Okay, and that's exactly where he's at. And I said unto my master, just supposed or preadventure, the woman will not follow me. And he said unto me, Yahuwah before whom I walk will send his angel, or malach in Hebrew, with you, and prosper your way, and you shall take a wife for my son of my kindred and of my father's house, which is where he's at, his brother's daughter. Okay? Abraham's brother's daughter. Verse 41, Then shall you be clear from this my oath. So if you don't want to come, when thou comest to my kindred, and if they give not you one, you shall be clear of my oath. Verse 42, And I came this day unto the well, and said, O Yahuwah Elohim of my master, Abraham, if now thou do prosper my way which I go, behold, I stand by the well of water, and it shall come to pass that when the virgin cometh forth to draw water, and I say to her, Give me, I pray you, a little water of the pitcher to drink, and she said to me, Both drink you, and I will also draw for your camels. Let the same be the woman whom Yahuwah hath appointed out from my master's son. And before I had done speaking in mine heart, behold, Rebekah came forth with her pitcher, and on her shoulder, and she went down into the well and drew water. And I said unto her, Let me drink, I pray you. And she made haste and let down her pitcher from her shoulder, and said, Drink, and I will give your camels drink also. So I drank, and she made the camels drink also. And I asked her, and said, Whose daughter are you? And she said, The daughter of Bethuel, Nahor's son, whom Milcah bare unto him. And I put the earring upon her face, and the bracelets upon her hands. And I bowed down my head, and I worshipped Yahuwah, and blessed Yahuwah Elohim of my master Abraham, which had led me in the right way to take my master's brother's daughter unto his son. And now if you will deal kindly and truly with my master, tell me, and if not, tell me, that I may turn to the right hand or to the left. Then Laban and Bethuel answered and said, The thing proceedeth from Yahuwah. We cannot speak unto you bad or good. Okay? Behold, Rebekah is before you. Take her and go, and let her be your master's son's wife, as Yahuwah hath spoken. And it came to pass that when Abraham's servant heard their words, he worshipped Yahuwah, bowing himself to the earth. And the servant brought forth jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment, and gave them to Rebekah. He gave also to her brother and to her mother precious things. And they did eat and drink, and he and the men that were with him, and tarried all night, stayed there all night. He said, Send me away unto my master. And her brother and her mother said, Let the damsel abide with us for a few days, at least 10. After that she can go. Okay? They wanted a little time with her before she left. And verse 56, And he said unto them, Hinder me not, or don't hold me up. Seeing that Yahuwah hath prospered my way, send me away that I may go to my master. And they said, We will call the damsel, or the young girl, and inquire at her mouth. And they called Rebekah, and said unto her, Wilt you go with this man? And she said, I'll go. And they sent away Rebekah, their sister, and her nurse, and Abraham's servant, and his men. And they blessed Rebekah, and said unto her, Thou art our sister, be you the mother of thousands, of millions, and let your descendants possess the gate of those which hate them. Okay, that was pretty much what Yahuwah had said. And Rebekah arose, and her damsels, or her young ladies that served her, and they rode upon the camels and followed the man. And the servant took Rebekah and went his way. And Isaac came from the way of the well, okay, Lehara, Leharo, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, for he dwelt in the south country. And Isaac went out to meditate in the field at the eventide, right when the sun was going down. And he lifted up his eyes and saw, and beheld the camels were coming. And Rebekah lifted up her eyes, and when she saw Isaac, she dismounted off the camel. For she had said unto the servant, What man is this that walketh in the field to meet us? And the servant had said, It is my master. Therefore she took a veil and covered her face, as was their custom, till after he knew her. Okay? And the servant told Isaac all things that had done. Verse 67, And Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent, and took Rebekah, and she became his wife. And he loved her, and Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. We're going to stop right there. We're right almost on an hour. We'll pick it up in 25 on our next lesson. Okay? So may Yahuwah add his blessing to the reading of the word. And may you have a blessed feast of unleavened bread if you're keeping it at this time. And just pray that you enjoy this high day and also the last day. Go ahead and be blessed in Yahuwah's name.